Hi there. This video will demonstrate how one can build and deploy an OpenAI agent to UiPath platform to be orchestrated and securely governed. To make this meaningful, let's think of a relatable scenario, building specialized agents to be used by employees and to streamline the processes within a company. Agents such as HR, procurement, and policy. Additionally, we would need an orchestrator agent capable of dispatching incoming requests to the appropriate agent. Now, each agent would have a dedicated list of tools to not only respond to the request, but also act on the request. For instance, the HR agent will have tools like check PTO balance, submit leave request, and schedule HR meeting. Implementing this using the OpenAI Agent SDK is straightforward. One would need to define a new agent, give it a name, for instance, Orchestrator Agent, the instructions, and it would define the handoffs to the specialized agents and define this agent as the entry point. Similarly, the agents, the specialized ones, would be defined as a new agent with new instructions, and this time we'll have a list of tools to be used and leveraged to execute on those requests. Once we have this implementation, one can leverage the UiPath OpenAI Agents SDK to natively integrate this within UiPath. Let's do just that. We can do that by UiPath init, which would initialize this as a UiPath project and would give us a glimpse, an overview what this agent is capable of, the dedicated agents, and the corresponding tools. Moreover, I can have a first run. For instance, I can run the input HR use case. This one would request a PTO within 2 days, and the agent would not only respond with what is the policy for that, but also would check the PTO balance and would submit the new request. And here you have the confirmation for that. This would mark a successful run where we can validate the output and the confirmation message. On top of that, one can leverage the UiPath dev experience. And with that, one can see the full history of a run. Let's take the same input, requesting PTO for a few days in the future in July. And with that, we can not only see the output, but also we can see the traces. For instance, now we can check if the orchestrator agent behaved as expected. It dispatched the request to the HR agent, which was the appropriate specialized agent. Now we can even investigate the check PTO balance, and it says that remaining balance is 7 days, so it is within the range. And if the submit leave request was actually called, and the final response and the final confirmation for this. Moreover, the UiPath init command generates a Mermaid diagram that we can inspect to see if it matches the intended design discussed earlier in the video. And we see visually that it does have an orchestrator agent that dispatches the request to the specialized agent, and each specialized agent has a set of tools. Now, considering that we validated the multiple scenarios and paths over multiple runs, and we even used the dev tools to analyze the traces and validate the behavior based on that, we are ready to deploy this OpenAI agent to UiPath. For that, I will increase the version, which would be 2.6, package it, and once I have the package, I will publish it. This time, I will choose my personal feed, and once that is ready, I will switch to the orchestrator view. The previous version was 2.5, and now I have a new version. And this would be a successful run with the same input of requesting a few PTO days, and I can see the handoffs to the HR agent, checking the PTO balance, and submitting the leave request, and finally having the confirmation email. On top of having OpenAI agents natively deployed to the UiPath platform, we can make them part of the UiPath Studio design experience using the UiPath push command, which takes the source code and the relevant dependencies and pushes them to the UiPath Studio project. Once I switch to UiPath Studio, I can see the same OpenAI agentic workflow with the specialized agents and even with the tools like check PTO balance, submit leave request, and schedule HR meeting. I can start a debug session. We can use the same input for validation, requesting PTO for a certain period. And once I've done that, I can even see the traces and the full execution history, like handoff to the HR agent, checking the PTO balance, and submit leave request as a tool that was called, and the final response. On top of that, we can set evaluations, set breakpoints, and package this as part of the solution, hence offering an overview of an end-to-end build and deploy native integration of OpenAI Agents SDK.